closing moments here, but a story that was shared with me by a dear friend who shared with me about a revival that was taking place at a church in Texas. And at that revival, on the front seat was an older African American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up that was there in that service, and he'd been so gripped with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes. And tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks to put some words to action here. And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes. And whether they got tennis shoes on or not, maybe they got sandals on, it really doesn't matter. But there's a time in which we need to have, some personal action here. Maybe we need to give them a hug too, brother.
And some stock in Chick-fil-A.
But I bought about 1,500 of these, and I gave to all our Chick-fil-A operators and staff a number of years ago. And so any expressions of a contrite heart, of a sense of humility, a sense of shame, a sense of embarrassment, began with an apologetic heart. I think that.
You know what, guys, man, we have got to break down what Dan Cathy is doing here. Because again, this happened, it wasn't recent. This happened right after the George Floyd riots, man, from 3 years ago. This was right after the riot, or right before, right around that time somewhere. But this was not recent. As a matter of fact, he's no longer the CEO for Chick-fil-A. I think his son is. But the fact of the matter is, man, he is telling, I understand in a way what he's saying. The people need to be humble. And all people, white, black, doesn't matter. People need to be humble. Again, they need to have a sense of humility. All of us. But the thing is, man, what he says there, especially at the end, that the people need to have a sense of shame that they've done something wrong, of guilt. No. Again, white people, you are absolved of this. You are. I have the power to absolve you. Apparently, I'm like 87th black on my father's side or something. So you're fine. You are fine. I absolve all white people from sin because of the color of your skin. Even though you didn't do anything wrong, because of the color of your skin, you don't need to feel guilt. And that is what I find really abhorrent in what he's saying. Because again, no one needs to feel guilt or shame, I think is what he said, for something they did not do. And again, I have my thoughts on guilt and shame to begin with, because I'll go into that some other time. But the fact of the matter is, man, you definitely should not feel guilt and shame for what you did not do. Again, you're responsible for what you yourself do. That's it. None of us are responsible for anything other than what we do. That's it. Why do white people feel guilty for slavery when they're 40 years old, 30 years old, 20 years old? Why? You live in a trailer, in a trailer park, and you feel guilty for white supremacy. Think about that for just a minute. Number one, there's no part of you that's superior at all. No matter if you live in a trailer or if you live in some kind of a mansion or something, you're not superior. But if you're sitting there living in a trailer, eating ramen noodles for dinner, you're definitely not superior. But you've been brainwashed into believe that you have certain privilege because of the color of your skin. That's not true. That's not true at all. And people have got to understand that. And then we have people that make a living off trying to make you feel guilty, trying to make white people as a whole feel guilty for the sins of the past. And I think all of us agree that slavery was wrong. Slavery is wrong. No matter where it's practiced or has been practiced, it's wrong. Again, I think in certain parts of the Middle East and certain parts of Africa, it's still being practiced. But again, here in the States, man, and in the Western world, man, it's been over for a long time. And I guarantee you, majority of people out there, they believe, hey, look, man, that was wrong. But again, you can feel guilty for only what you've done. That's it. Anything other than that is virtue signaling shame. Again, and I know quite a lot of people like this, man. They claim that they're better. Hey, look, I'm an anti-racist. I'm an anti-racist. Man, I feel so bad for things that happened in the past. And man, I am right there standing next to my black brothers and sisters. No, you're not. No, you're not. Again, man, you can stand next to them at some point at some kind of rally for 10 minutes or something, and then go to the IHOP and get breakfast or whatever. Whatever, man. But again, that's all for photo ops. Again, you can get on, some podcast and say that you're anti-racist, and you can head up some kind of group and say, oh, look, man, look at me. I'm anti-racist. I'm a good person. But again, you're no better or no worse than anyone else. And again, by you using that as a way to declare how good and how virtuous you are, I think in a lot of ways you're probably worse than a lot of people, because you're using that as a way to reflect this false sense of nobility, that you are somehow better than other people. Look, man, again, we are guilty for what we individually do, and that is it. Nothing more, nothing less. So again, white people, you don't need to feel guilty for something you never did. You don't need to feel guilty, and you don't need to listen to black people. Not all black people, but I'm saying black people that tell you, like I was told this past week, that I was told that, hey, I need to stop exploiting black people. Exploiting who? Which black people am I exploiting? Well, you need to stop that. And you are going to pay reparations. That's what I was told. I'm going to pay reparations. You're going to pay reparations, and you need to stop exploiting black people. Okay. Exploiting black people? Who am I exploiting? And paying reparations? Well, I guess if they approve it and it comes out of Texas, I guess so. Again, I'm against it, but if they approve it, I guess that happens. But the fact of the matter is, man, you got to stop listening to people that tell you that you need to feel guilty for what you didn't do. That goes for black people and the white saviors that come out of the woodwork to declare how righteous they are and how you need to feel guilty because of your whiteness, of your white privilege. No. You don't need to feel guilty for any of that. And you got to stop listening to people that tell you to feel guilty. Again, I absolve you of your white guilt. But if you guys would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
You son of a